Crows are fascinating, and it seems like, especially in the winter, their behavior is a little bit different. Tell me a little bit about them in general.
Well, crows are very intelligent birds. They're in the corvid family, so they're in there with ravens and blue jays. In the wintertime, they use a strategy of roosting in large numbers. Sometimes they can be in the thousands, where they'll all collectively hang together. They're very social by nature, so you can often see them right at the end of the day migrating or moving towards, I guess would be, to their communal roost sites. Oftentimes these can be in a city or close to the city. Crows like an open habitat, so lots of ag land. You usually don't find crows in the forest, so to speak, when you have straight up woods, because they like to use those fields for feeding. And oftentimes you find them in urban settings because the light from the buildings and just the city protects them a little bit, because their predators, great horned owls, will not come into the city when it's lit like that.
How is their behavior different in the winter than it would be at other times of the year?
Well, as they start to progress and as you get towards the breeding season, those big roosts will begin to break up. But again, because crows are very social creatures, they will often move in family groups. You will have younger birds, so birds that hatched and survived from the previous year or two will often help the adults in raising the next brood. So you can have groups of crows that'll, they'll set up a nest spot, and then a number of different crows moving back and forth to feed the young.
And what do they eat in the winter?
They're pretty omnivorous. They'll eat a little bit of everything. If there's snow cover, they might be forced to try to find some carrion that's already been, that's around, so something that might be dead. But as soon as the ground cover opens up, worms and insects, sometimes bird eggs, they're very advantageous. They'll visit dumps, agricultural fields. You can often see them moving through as folks, they plow the fields, or they're doing some planting. Somewhat notorious in that they'll actually pull up some of the seedlings, so they don't necessarily have a great reputation amongst the farmers, but a little bit of everything.
If somebody wanted to observe crows, where would they go?
It's interesting because crows seem to be a bird that you find pretty regularly. Often I can look out the window and I can see crows, but if you talk to a crow hunter, they can be actually very difficult to track down. Again, agricultural fields, areas that have some degree of openness. If you do know where a roost is, like a winter roost, you can visit that site too and be pretty much guaranteed that you'll be seeing the birds come in the evening.
How do they communicate with each other?
They have a lot of different sounds. Everybody knows the caw, caw, caw of the crow, but there's lots of different vocalizations that they'll use as well. So a pretty vast repertoire.
What are they trying to say to each other?
A lot of bird communication is just that, especially with a social creature such as the crows. So these different sounds that they make are often just individual birds staying in touch with other crows. And so we know that some birds like to sing in the springtime when it's breeding time and in the summer. But crow communication is a little bit more guttural, and these birds, they're just keep in touch with their neighbors.